Story Kids Rise.
Puss in Boots' Clever Plan. Short story at Story Kids Rise. Once upon a time in a quaint little village, there lived a clever cat named Puss in Boots. Puss was no ordinary cat. He wore a tiny pair of shiny leather boots that made him look quite dapper. He was known far and wide for his quick wit and cunning ways. One sunny morning, Puss in Boots learned of an ogre who terrorized the village. This ogre was known to steal the villagers' food and make their lives miserable. Puss knew he had to come up with a clever plan to save the day. He strolled to the ogre's lair, a gloomy cave on the outskirts of the village. The ogre was a giant, with bulging muscles and an enormous appetite. Puss, with his boots tapping on the rocky path, approached the cave and called out, "Oh, mighty ogre! I have heard of your incredible strength and wish to challenge you to a duel." The ogre, always up for a good fight, lumbered out of his cave, eager to show off. Puss in Boots began the duel by suggesting a series of silly games. First, a jumping contest, where Puss bounced around with ease in his magical boots, while the ogre struggled to leave the ground. Then, a singing competition, where Puss crooned beautifully while the ogre's growls sent birds fleeing from the trees. The ogre, not one to back down, was determined to win at something. He declared, "Let's have a food-eating contest." Puss in Boots agreed, and the ogre brought out a table filled with delicious pies, pastries, and cakes. But this was Puss's moment. With every mouthful, Puss slyly dropped the ogre's share into his bag. The ogre kept eating, not realizing that his feast was disappearing. Eventually, the ogre slumped over, his belly stuffed and satisfied. Puss in Boots declared himself the winner and said, "Oh, mighty ogre, you are the mightiest eater, but I am the cleverest cat." The ogre, too full to argue, nodded in agreement. Puss in Boots escorted the ogre back to his cave and, in a gesture of goodwill, gave him a jar of honey. The ogre, now a little less menacing, decided to share the honey with the villagers, and they all lived happily ever after. And so, the clever cat in shiny boots saved the day with his wit and cunning, proving that intelligence can be mightier than brawn. Puss in Boots' Clever Plan. Short story at Story Kids Rise. Kids, please like, share, and subscribe to this video.
Story Kids Rise.